Foolio's killers just can't seem to catch a break. Things are looking worse for them by the day. Now, the prosecution is aiming for the death penalty, and on top of that, it looks like there's a snitch in their crew. The proof has gone viral, and it's clear from the start who's going to turn on them. There's a girl in the mix, and she's not waiving her right to a speedy trial. It's pretty obvious she's about to start talking. When you put all the clues together, there's no doubt who the rat is. And trust me, the whole world is starting to figure it out. This one's gonna hit you like a ton of bricks, for real. Let me put you on game. Foolio's killers are now facing the death penalty. The whole drill scene has been glued to the news ever since his case blew up, and now new details are coming out that are straight wild. Everybody knew taking a girl into the drill world was a risky move, but here's the thing, it was pretty obvious from the start that if Foolio's killers got caught, she'd be the first one to fold, and now it looks like the internet's predictions were spot on. The legal side of Foolio's murder case has taken a crazy turn, and Florida is coming down hard with some serious charges. Stay tuned because this is far from over. On October 7, 2024, Florida State Attorney Susan S. Lopez dropped some serious news in Hillsborough County Criminal Court. She announced that the state is going for the death penalty against 3 of the suspects, Isaiah Chance, Shaggy, and Rashad Murphy. This move really shows just how serious the charges are: first-degree murder, conspiracy to murder, and attempted murder. But here's the twist that's got everyone talking. Alicia Andrews, the only female suspect in the case, is starting to make things even more complicated. Stay tuned because this story is far from over. Alicia Andrews isn't part of the death penalty motion, and people are starting to question why. She didn't pull the trigger, but her boyfriend, Isaiah Chance, was right there with her all night and didn't shoot either, yet he's facing the death penalty. So what does that mean? A lot of people are starting to think she might be working with the authorities. Her being left out of the death penalty motion raises a lot of questions about what's really going on behind the scenes. And guess what? There are already people with insider info who say this story is about to get even bigger. It looks like Alicia is ready to cooperate, and she's already asked for a speedy trial. Unlike the other 3 suspects who waived their right to a quick trial, she's not backing down. People are starting to think she's working with the authorities. Alicia Andrews, who's also pregnant, made that request, and it's got everyone talking. What a lot of people might not know is that she's been cooperating with the authorities since the very first day she was arrested. From the moment they put those cuffs on her, it seems like she's been playing a different game than the others. When footage of Alicia's arrest hit the internet, the comment section went wild. People were quick to guess that she was about to snitch on everyone. The way she walked so calmly and comfortably made it seem like she knew exactly what was going on. One person joked she's gonna sing higher notes than Mariah Carey in that interrogation room. Another added, she's definitely gonna give up the other 2. Bet on it, and it turns out they weren't far off, because once Alicia was in that interrogation room, things took a big turn. Once Alicia was in that interrogation room, things quickly took a turn for the worse. She made the classic rookie mistake. She started answering the cops' questions. According to police reports, they showed her surveillance footage during the questioning, and that's when she made a huge mistake. She actually identified herself in every piece of footage they showed her. With that, the prosecution now had clear evidence that she was in Tampa when the murder went down and at the same spots as the victim. But Alicia didn't just snitch on herself, she ended up implicating others too. Alicia didn't just get herself into trouble, she dragged her boyfriend into it too. According to police reports, she told them Isaiah Chance was the one driving the silver cruise that had been following the victim. By doing this, Alicia basically gave him a life sentence, admitting he was in the same city as the victim and driving one of the cars that was stalking the rapper. But if you think the snitching stopped there, think again, things were just getting started. It couldn't get much worse for Alicia. She went ahead and told the cops that her boyfriend had been using her phone to talk to the other killers in the second car. By doing that, she basically admitted that he was planning the murder through her phone. With him now facing first-degree murder charges, her testimony in that interrogation pretty much sealed his fate. And it doesn't stop there. The surveillance footage showed a guy, Gad Z, wearing a black hoodie with a red logo, making it easy for investigators to track him down later. On top of that, the phone records just made things worse for everyone involved. Alicia's phone kept buzzing with messages from Gad's phone, which connected the 2 vehicles, the silver Chevy Cruze and the black Chevy Impala, showing they were working together. These cars were tied to Foolio's killers, and they were spotted at Truth 18 nightclub, where Foolio was supposed to show up. Surveillance footage even caught Alicia and Isaiah pulling into the club's backlot. What made things even worse, Isaiah was seen using Alicia's phone outside the car, which made it clear they were both involved in the plot, but the police were already onto them, piecing everything together. Alicia tried to deny knowing anything about the murder, but she wasn't a very good liar. During the interrogation, the cops caught her in multiple lies. One of the biggest moments was when she claimed she and her boyfriend were at Teaser's Gentlemen's Club and Truth 18 nightclub just to check out the party scene. She even said they went to the club to ask how much it cost to get in. But the cops had surveillance footage from the front of the club that completely contradicted her story, making it clear she wasn't being honest. The cops had footage from both clubs showing that Alicia and her boyfriend didn't even get out of the car. They just stayed in the parking lot the whole time. But here's where it gets even worse. Alicia ended up putting herself and Isaiah right at the scene of the crime. After tracking Foolio to several spots, she and her boyfriend followed him to a couple of homes, including 2 suites. The silver Chevy Cruze they were in made 2 passes by Foolio's parked cars before driving off, making it pretty clear they were involved in what happened. Alicia straight up admitted that she and her boyfriend were at the crime scene when Foolio was murdered. But here's where her story falls apart. She said they were just lost in using the parking lot to turn around. That sounds pretty unbelievable, right? She even claimed they had no idea Foolio was there. Meanwhile, the black Chevy Impala, driven by Sean Gathright and carrying Rashad and Devone Murphy, was right there, ready to strike. And when Alicia showed up in court recently, her nervousness was hard to miss. She was biting her nails and fidgeting, clearly feeling the pressure. You can tell Alicia Andrews is scared. It's clear she wasn't ready for this kind of life, and now it looks like she might be ready to cooperate. On the other hand, her boyfriend doesn't seem to care about much anymore. He almost seems okay with her snitching if it means she gets a lighter sentence. During one of his court appearances, he was caught bobbing his head to Who I Smoke by Young Nudy, a diss track aimed at Foolio. It's crazy to think he was doing that in the middle of a court hearing, showing just how little Isaiah seems to be bothered by everything going down. So, a video dropped from his gang, clearly aimed at dissing Foolio's crew, and honestly, it looks like the rapper's thrown caution to the wind. Maybe he's realizing things are about to get real serious, especially since everything they did was caught on 4K video. One of the biggest red flags? Footage of him and Sean Gait caught on camera loading big bags, which prosecutors say were packed with guns and ammo. These bags were big enough to hold 2 Alaska-style rifles. But it's not just the dancing to Foolio's diss track that's raising eyebrows, there's more to it than that. It looks like these killers are starting to crack. While in custody, Sean Gait tried to make a break for it in the most ridiculous way. Police reports say he was stuck in an interview room and decided his best shot at freedom was to escape through the ceiling. He actually climbed up on a table and started pulling tiles off the ceiling. It's honestly pretty hard to believe, but that's what happened. Now, while Alicia Andrews, Isaiah Chance, and Sean Gait have all had their crazy moments, Devone Murphy and his cousin Rashad Murphy aren't exactly staying out of the spotlight either. But first, let's talk about one of Foolio's own. Foolio's murder case is still far from over, and there's one killer still on the run, leaving everyone wondering when they'll be caught. Let me tell you, this guy isn't someone you want to mess with. He has a criminal record that's as serious as it gets. The night of Foolio's murder, something straight out of a movie happened. Surveillance footage shows Devone Murphy, a known member of the 1200 gang, wearing an orange ski mask and firing a rifle at Foolio's car from a distance. After the murder, the police launched an intense investigation to bring the killers to justice, and they quickly arrested 4 suspects. But Devone Murphy, he somehow managed to slip through their fingers, and now everyone's waiting to see when he'll be caught. Devone's ability to stay hidden for months has everyone asking where is he and how far does his support system reach. Some reports suggest he's still in Jacksonville, but there's also talk that he might have skipped town and even changed his looks to keep a low profile. For investigators, tracking him down has been anything but easy, especially with his history of serious crimes like car theft and aggravated assault. The search is intense and the mystery keeps growing. Devone's long history with the law makes this manhunt all the more urgent. He's been dodging authorities who are working day and night to track him down. It's clear he has no plans to turn himself in, especially with a criminal record that stretches back nearly a decade. Police reports show he was charged with stealing a car in 2015, then faced an aggravated assault charge with a deadly weapon in 2016, landing him in jail for 7 months. With a past like this, the pressure is on to bring him to justice, and the search shows no signs of slowing down. In 2017, Devone made headlines again when he led police on a wild high-speed chase, which earned him 4 months behind bars. Just 2 years later, in 2019, he was arrested for having a firearm despite being a convicted felon, serving 6 months before his release. But the story doesn't end there. Devone's name came up in the investigation of Foolio's murder thanks to footage from an Airbnb Ring camera. The video caught him carrying a bag out to the parking lot at a house the suspects rented for the weekend. Although he didn't leave through the front door at first, he eventually came back, leaving investigators with even more questions about his role in the case. The Airbnb's Ring camera caught Devone walking through the property, but it seemed he used a back door without a camera to avoid being seen. The owner later confirmed there was an unmonitored exit, making it easier for him to come and go unnoticed. Others, like Isaiah Chance and Sean Gait, were also caught on the Ring camera several times, their movements quietly recorded. Isaiah Chance added to the mystery with a strange Instagram post. He wrote, "Now everybody can move on, get a job, go back to school, be a full-time parent or a full-time college student. The war is over. Entertainment is dead." The eerie message left people wondering what really happened and how Devone fits into it all. Rashad Murphy didn't hold back while staying at the Airbnb. Police records show he used Gat's phone to send 2 disturbing text messages that seemed to celebrate Foolio's death. The first message read, "I'm coming home, my thirst is quenched. Pop a bottle of Don Julio today." The second was just as unsettling, "I'm coming home, my thirst is quenched, I love you." For Rashad and Devone Murphy, this wasn't just about the crime, it was deeply personal. Someone from Foolio's crew had previously targeted their group, and this seemed to be their way of taking revenge. The messages and their actions made it clear this was more than just a random act, it was personal payback. The tension between Rashad and Foolio ran deep, and it was personal for Rashad. His younger brother, Kenny Cap Spaz, was shot and killed in August 2018. Kenny was also Devone's cousin, and his name had been disrespected by Foolio in his music, which only added fuel to the fire. The rivalry came to a boiling point that same year at a football game at William Marion Rains Senior High School in Jacksonville, Florida. During the game, fights broke out in the stands, sparking chaos that got the attention of the school police. It was just one more sign that the conflict was far from over. Joe Rod Adams, or Spaz, was only 19 years old, and like his brother and cousin, he was connected to the 1,200 Spaz crew. After getting involved in a fight at the game, school police had to escort him out of the stadium. When the game ended around 10 p.m., people started leaving. Spaz was walking down the sidewalk with a 17-year-old boy and a 16-year-old girl when, out of nowhere, gunshots rang out. People panicked and tried to find cover, but in the chaos, Spaz was shot and killed. Sadly, the boy and girl with him were also hit but managed to survive. The night ended in tragedy, leaving everyone shaken. The 17-year-old boy and 16-year-old girl were quickly taken to the hospital for their injuries after the shooting. Just a few days later, the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office made a breakthrough and arrested a 16-year-old suspect, charging him with murder and attempted murder. The suspect was identified as Robert Howard, also known as Kenny Caps. He was initially charged with second-degree murder for Spaz's death and 2 counts of attempted murder for the injuries to the others. But as the case went on, the evidence against Kenny, a member of the KTA or 6 Block crew, started to fall apart, and the case began to weaken. The prosecution faced serious obstacles from the start. Despite about 200 people being nearby during the shooting, finding witnesses who were willing to speak up was much harder than expected. Many were scared to come forward, and some who initially gave statements later changed their minds. One key witness who had identified Kenny as the shooter took back her statement and was even arrested for perjury. Another victim who had been hurt in the shooting also backed out and refused to help with the investigation. The case seemed to be falling apart as more people pulled away. As the case fell apart with witnesses backing out and the evidence becoming weaker, the charges against Kenny were reduced. The state attorney's office changed the charges to manslaughter and aggravated battery. Facing these new charges, Kenny decided to plead guilty. He was sentenced to 5 years in prison, but since he had already served 3 years, he only had 2 more to go. On top of that, he received 10 years of probation. But Foolio, still holding on to the past, couldn't let his fallen relative rest in peace. He decided to take matters into his own hands, keeping the cycle of tension going. Foolio took things way too far when it said he went to Spaz's grave and urinated on it, an act that fueled even more anger. Now, Spaz's brother Rashad is in jail for his role in Foolio's death, but his arrest wasn't ordinary, it was dramatic. Just one day after the first 3 suspects were arrested, SWAT teams were called to the Collins Preserve apartments. Reports say Rashad had locked himself inside his home, holding a gun to his head while talking to his girlfriend on FaceTime. The situation was intense, with everything hanging by a thread. After a long, intense standoff, Rashad Murphy finally gave up and surrendered just after midnight, ending the dramatic situation. With 4 of Foolio's killers now behind bars and 1 still on the run, it seems like the police aren't finished yet. The internet is buzzing with rumors that another well-known rapper who was one of Foolio's biggest rivals could be next. People online point out that this rapper has seemed to incriminate himself several times, and his constant trolling of Foolio's death makes it look like he might have played a part in it. The story isn't over, and everyone is waiting to see what happens next. Young Ace has been a well-known figure in Jacksonville for a long time, and the authorities are always keeping tabs on him and his crew. They've said they're not currently investigating him for Foolio's murder, but they also made it clear that Ace can't go anywhere in Jacksonville without them knowing. However, the internet has found some evidence that suggests Ace might be making mistakes that could hurt him. Some believe he's even unintentionally incriminating himself, and Foolio's name keeps coming up in the conversation. It's got people wondering if Ace might be involved in something much bigger than anyone realized. Foolio's mom is convinced that more arrests are coming. When asked if she believes more people will be arrested for what happened to her son, she didn't hesitate, saying, "Yes, definitely more than the 5 already in custody." She's been working closely with the police and believes the hit on Foolio was planned and paid for. According to her, it's only a matter of time before someone talks, and the money behind it will be traced back to its source. Even young Ace seemed to hint at it being a paid hit when he appeared on a YouTube show, adding more weight to her belief. The story isn't over yet, and there's still a lot to uncover. In a recent interview, young Ace was asked what his latest investment was, but that's not even the craziest part. It seems like Ace might have known that Foolio was going to be targeted hours before it actually happened. He posted a tweet which has since been deleted that made it seem like he was aware of what was about to go down in Tampa. The tweet said, "That boy going the same day he came in post-trade, how did he know that Foolio was going to be killed, especially on his birthday? Was it just a coincidence, or did he have some inside knowledge?" And this wasn't the only strange thing about the whole situation. It turns out there was more to it than just a coincidence. The killers were trying to get someone from Foolio's camp to reveal his location. After 4 men were arrested for his murder, police reports showed that they used a woman to get one of Foolio's friends to drop his whereabouts. What's even more interesting is that right after Foolio's death, young Ace appeared on DJ Academic's platform and talked about women betraying gang members. He warned his crew to stay away from all them hoes because they could end up giving away your location. Ace's words seemed to point toward the kind of backstabbing that led to Foolio's death, making people wonder who knew what and when. What's even crazier is that Foolio's mom, who's been kept in the loop by the cops, actually hinted at something similar during her first interview. She talked about how women can be used to set people up, saying that just because you think a girl is your friend, it doesn't mean she won't turn on you. But that wasn't the only shocking thing young Ace said during his interview with DJ Academics. At one point, he started trolling Foolio, making comments that seemed to poke fun at the situation. It was clear he wasn't holding back, and it only added more fuel to the fire in this already tense story. Young Ace and Foolio used to message each other just to check in, like, "You good, bro?" Wasn't anything too deep, just making sure they were both doing all right. But the trolling didn't stop there. At one point, Ace tried to joke that Foolio was still alive because he was using voodoo. He said, "I don't think he did, though." "What do you mean?" "I don't think he did. He's still posting and commenting. I don't even know if he's really dead. I think someone else might be running his account." It was a strange comment that only added to the confusion, leaving everyone wondering what was really going on. It was honestly unsettling how much young Ace seemed to be enjoying the fact that Foolio was dead. During his interview with DJ Academics, Ace was asked how he felt when he found out that Foolio, someone from Jacksonville, had lost his life. Academics asked, "Where were you when you heard the news?" Surprisingly, Ace said that when he heard about Foolio's death, he actually broke down and started crying. "I was in bed crying," he shared.